I don't know about any of you guys, but I'm pretty sure that constitutes a loaded question. And it's even worse because people that they're talking about in this video, or at least most of them, in the past are dead, so they can't answer yes or no or anything in between to the accusations brought against them. That is, that what they said was bigoted, with absolutely no context or historical evidence or any of that given in accompaniment to the quotes given, because history is racist and bigoted. And listen and believe, everybody. Let's see what they have to say about this totally relevant and much needed question that's being brought to our attention today.
No.
It's gotta be true. We don't have slavery now, at the very, very least.
I feel like probably about the same.
Fuck, do we have slavery still?
Do we have slavery still? Honestly, if this is his way of a joke, it's not a very good one, because he sounds like he's genuinely considering it, which I really hope he's not genuinely considering it. Although, granted, by his weedy voice and how desperately he's trying to be fair, but not being fair, really, really tells us much about this man. And also, we were only a few seconds in, and we already know what the others think about this matter, in that they say, no, we're still pretty much in the days of slavery and the cotton fields and beatings and second-class citizens and all that bollocks. This is the kind of world these people live in, and it's honestly scary. But let's continue.
I know that this is going to disappoint me.
I already hate this guy. He's only spoken for a few seconds, but I already hate him. Just that big stupid grin on his face, and just he already has a bias, and he hasn't even answered any damn questions yet, or even looked at the quotes he's been given. So that's the objectivity of this whole thing out the window, although it was pretty much out the window when the first question was asked. But anyway, let's see.
I would have problems with somebody who embraced all the doctrines associated with Islam.
Islamophobia started during the terrorist attacks, I think.
A lot of people have disliked the doctrines of Islam for quite a long time, much longer than the terrorist attacks. But apparently this guy seemed to think that shit has happened only since 9/11 happened, and has absolutely no historical knowledge before that time, which is quite worrying. But aside from that, the quote itself isn't bigoted at all. It's essentially saying, I agree with some, but not all of the doctrines of Islam, which is understandable considering that how many of the doctrines of Islam are quite problematic, as the social justice warriors would say, but are not all rainbows and sunshine. The same with Christianity, the same with most religions going. And that's entirely reasonable, but is of course labelled racist because it's not bowing at the feet of Islam and everyone who practices it, like these insane ideologues would have you do.
That has to be now, right? Yeah.
Individual Muslims may show splendid qualities, but the influence of the religion paralyzes the social development of those who follow it.
Now?
Now.
I'll still say now for this one.
This sounds like it comes from the mouth of someone who's just sheer ignorant now.
I hate this woman too, just her attitude. Like the same as the other guy. Objectivity has just been thrown out the window as far as she's concerned from the get-go. And just content to sit there without any historical context or understanding whatsoever and slander a dead person who cannot speak for himself on the basis of one quote of his. Probably also taken out of context and just entirely unreasonable. But there we go.
I am not nor ever have been in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races.
Is it then?
Then, right?
Oh wow, that's interesting. It's kind of weird to hear this and hear where it's coming from.
I did mention before that historical context had been thrown out the window the moment this video started, because while these were Abraham Lincoln's words in an unfortunate speech at Charleston, Illinois in 1858, this was his word. However, 5 years later he declared that black slaves are and henceforth shall be free. And in 1864 he was writing to Hahn of Louisiana in favor of black suffrage. So, while these may have been his words then, he certainly changed his opinion and followed up 5 years later by granting black people their freedom. So it seems to me. So those words, while ignorant as they may be, and bigoted to our sensibilities, they are very much put to rest by the subsequent actions of this man, who went on to do the very thing he said he would not do. So in that way, this paints a very black picture of a man who did a very good and noble thing later in life. So very, I mean, even by Buzzfeed standards, or maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but this is not good.
I mean, you got the first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
Now?
Ben?
Joe.
Wow. Biden.
Every immigrant who comes here should be required within 5 years to learn English or leave the country.
Definitely now.
I definitely think that's now.
I'm sorry, what's so terrible about requiring that any immigrant learns English at least after 5 years of being in the country in which English is the predominant language, and just making it easier on the health service, education service, and any service where the predominant language is English? Honestly, I don't have to tell you people how much more difficult it makes just everything to run if half time and money and expenses is used to ensure that people in the class or in the hospital or wherever knows what's going on because they can't understand or speak the language. It really is the basic requirement, and it should be enforced as far as I'm concerned, because all it does is drain the country's resources. If you cannot learn a language after 5 years, then you obviously have no desire to integrate or communicate with or contribute to the country in which you are living in, where the predominant language is not your mother tongue. It really is that simple, and I honestly don't know why it is so bigoted to say so. But this is the current year.
Definitely sounds like something people would say now.
They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Is it right now?
This is Donald Trump, right?
While he could have said it in a more tactful manner, honestly, Trump is reacting to the current wave of mass immigration, and particularly he's most likely referring to the illegals and the ones who are jumping on the bandwagon, because that certainly is what's happening at the moment. They're bringing all their problems with them, and we haven't the means to cope with all of it. But apparently that is racist and bigoted and evil, and we need to just embrace everybody and just ignore all the not so sunny factors in the matter. It's just, honestly, bloody idiots.
This quiz is really hard.
I felt like all of these quotes could have been said now.
I feel like that girl from Mean Girls all the time, where I just wish everyone could be happy and get along.
That would be nice, but it's not reality, is it? This whole thing is just so pointless and stupid, with no regard for historical context or anything of the kind. Even in the present, there is always a need for context of where these quotes came, and in what subject, and what was done after the actions that were taken because of these quotes. And if the speaker may have changed their opinion or done something different afterwards, as in the example of Abraham Lincoln, but no, they're just content with painting everyone with the same brush. People who are not present to defend themselves, either because they're dead or simply not present, and essentially just being fools about the whole matter. And there's always going to be people who have unsavory opinions, out of context or not, and it's simply wise to know the context, which may change or maybe not change the meaning of the quotes and the significance behind them, and if they really are motivated by a hatred or ignorance, then simply to be learned from and regarded in the context in which they were said. And that's all. Really, just as in water off the duck's back, really. Because otherwise we just go into huge fits every time someone says something that they don't agree with. And just being so hypersensitive as this generation appears to be. And it's simply just stupid and childish to freak out every time someone says something that they don't just agree with, because there will always be somebody who has differing opinions to you, and you just need to get on with your goddamn life and not make stupid videos highlighting and shaming people for quotes taken entirely out of context without any knowledge or lack of bias. And then you get travesties like this. But then this is Buzzfeed.
History repeats itself, and it just, this kind of like just shows that.
Shut up, you stupid bitch. Honestly, stupid doesn't even come close. Just look at all the different quotes taken out of context, past and present, and then think that things are the same as they used to be back then. There's always going to be people who have adverse opinions that aren't your own. And you're going to just have to deal with that. And not get into a little hissy fit about it. Enough to make a stupid, pointless video that tells us nothing. Except that there are always going to be idiots abound. And that's not even taking into context the quotes that you've just read out, that you will conveniently leave out because of the listen and believe mantra. Honestly, I have nothing more to say. This travesty really speaks for itself. So, yeah, that's it. See you guys next time.